there, YouTube. This is Vargas XX78 with another Tales from the Vargas Vault. With recent news of Konami's woes and the fact that they've officially announced that they're going to retire from the console market and instead focus on mobile gaming, that unfortunately, for the most part, means the last nail on the coffin of the once great Konami. Konami, yes, everyone knows, was a huge company back on the NES, the Super Nintendo. They also released a bunch of games on Genesis, PlayStation 2, and also on PlayStation 3. But now, they had so much hype going for them with the new Metal Gear and Silent Hills, and now that's gone. That's gone. Everyone's backed out from the project, and it seems like Silent Hills is dead, as dead as Konami. And it's a shame because I've mentioned this before in other videos. Konami was just such a great company. They had a whole bunch of different IPs and different games that were really, really innovative, and they really changed the way that I personally game. And it's still a damn shame to see that happen. And honestly, I don't know what other companies are gonna join them. Sega, again, already gave the same news. Capcom, I think it's not going to take them long before they do the same. Nintendo's still going to make console games, but they've also said that they're going to dip their hands on mobile gaming. So yeah, it's a very interesting time. But the reason why I wanted to record this Tales from the Vargas Vault episode is because I wanted to touch upon another classic series by Konami. Now, unlike Castlevania, which I talked about in the last Tales video, which started on the NES, the series that I want to talk about started on the PlayStation 1. That's when their first game released. And the series I want to talk about is Silent Hill. Got some glare here because I have the original wrap, but here we go. Silent Hill. This is a game series that started on the PlayStation 1, and this changed the way how horror games are made. This took elements from Lovecraft. It has some Lovecraft themes to it. A really, really cool game. I was lucky enough to get this one. Really in really minty condition. And it's a great game. It's a great game, and it showed how you can do really creepy horror. Because before Silent Hill, the big other survivor game series was Resident Evil, but that was more like a action movie that had zombies, had monsters, and it felt more like an action horror movie. Well, whereas this felt like a genuine horror movie video game. It's about Harry Mason and his daughter Cheryl. I'm reading off the back, that have a car accident, and then they get stuck in Silent Hill, and that's when this whole thing, and Silent Hill in itself became its own character. It became this place where all this crazy stuff would happen, and if you entered Silent Hill and you had all this weird baggage, it would reflect itself in monsters that would personally affect you. It's a great concept, the Silent Hill, and this game showed that Konami could do something new, because, again, this was a totally new IP. Do something new and make it work. They already had so many good franchises, and with this one, they created another franchise that was just so amazing. So good, so good. Somewhere down the line, Nintendo and Konami released... It's not a remake. It's not like what they did with the Twin Snakes. It's more like a reimagining, and that's a Silent Hill Shattered Memories. Again, still have the wrap. It's basically the story of the first game. Harry Mason must go into Silent Hill to look for her daughter, but this one psychologically profiles you. It asks you for a couple of questions, and the game profiles you and suits the horrors and the terror that happens in the game to affect you personally. So each people do get a different kind of game. There are parts that, of course, are very similar to everyone. The game's not that good at psychologically profiling everyone, but but it does give you a more personalized sort of game. And the graphics on the Wii are amazing. This game is beautiful. Everything it has this snowy. It's kind of like the look of the movie, the Silent Hill movie, which I'm also going to talk about, where everything was kind of snowy, but that was ash. This also has that effect. Everything's dark and snowy, and it looks beautiful on the Wii. Really props to Konami for making this awesome game. It's a beautiful looking game, and it's great to look at. It's great to play. It's got some genuinely freaky elements. It's good. It like I said, it's not a remake. It's not an update. It's sort of based on the story of the first one, of this one, but it integrates other elements that make it different enough to not be a remake. But great game, awesome game, and the sequel to the story of the first one. Well, it's not a direct sequel because it doesn't follow any of the characters, but it is a sequel of the series, and that's Silent Hill 2, considered by many to be the best Silent Hill in the series, because this is the one that introduced Pyramid Head, and it also gives a more important meaning to the nurses, the Silent Hill nurses, that make an appearance in the first one on PlayStation 1, but this one gives them a more of a reason to be the way they are, if that makes sense. A lot of people, even Yahtzee from Zero Punctuation, said that this is one of his favorite games of all time, and this is a really good game. It follows a different character going to Silent Hill because he's received a letter from his wife that died like 3 years ago. And he goes into Silent Hill, and all this crazy stuff happens. They really updated the graphics compared to the first one. The first one, the technical limitations of the first one is the reason why it has all that fog. In this one, but it worked it to its favor. I'm not throwing grief on that. That worked to its favor to really the atmosphere. And this one also has fog, but of course, being a more powerful console, they could fix that. But it also works to its favor. It's graphically amazing. The voice work is cool. And really good game. I can see why everyone says that this is the favorite entry in the series. The next game is Silent Hill 3. Now this one is a sequel of the story from the first game. It does follow more of the same characters. It delves deeper into the mythos of Silent Hill. There's also this cult in Silent Hill that want something with Heather, who's later revealed to be a big character in the series. This particular one, this copy I have, I don't know if all copies are like that, but the one I got has the soundtrack, the Silent Hill 3 soundtrack. I'm sorry. So I don't know if that's a standard on all of them, but the music in this one is really cool. I really like the music in Silent Hill 3. It also, I don't remember the actress's name. She's the actress from 24. Well, one of the many actors of 24, but she was the daughter of Jack Bauer. She lends her voice in this game. And Konami released an HD remastering of 3 and 2 on the PlayStation 3, but I haven't gotten that because I have heard that they change a lot of the game mechanics. The graphics don't look, oddly enough, they don't look that good when pushed to HD. And they redid I guess they didn't have the license to keep using the original voice actors, but they changed the voice actors from both of the games. And that honestly sounds like a bummer. I also heard that it's glitchy as hell, so unless I see that version cheap, dirt cheap, I'm not getting it. I'm happy with these ones. But again, with the news that Konami is basically done for, I'm pretty sure that all these games and that HD version is going to go up in price. I'm definitely sure that that's going to happen. So if you can get these games cheap and you're interested in the series, I definitely recommend you do so because, trust me, I know that these games are going to go for a lot more down the line. The next game is not linked. It might have elements of the second one, but not that much. So it's not entirely linked to the series. Originally, I thought that this had nothing to do with the series. The studio was working on a completely different IP, and then just decided to stick the Silent Hill name on it. But it was later revealed that that's not the case. That they had the Silent Hill team has been working on this game. So the fourth game in the series is Silent Hill 4: The Room. This is a very creepy game. All games are creepy, but this one's particularly creepy because the main character is stuck in his apartment. He wakes up one day and his door is all chained up, and he can't get out. No one on the outside can see that he's stuck in there. And as the game develops and progresses, the whole apartment starts getting grimy and dirty. It's a very effective and creepy thing that happens in this game. But I will admit it doesn't. That's why I thought originally that the Silent Hill team didn't work on this, because it does feel kind of different. The creepiness is there, but it doesn't feel like a Silent Hill kind of creepiness. But yeah, this is still a pretty creepy game. I still recommend it, but I think it's the weakest of the Team Silent entries. After that, Team Silent disbanded, and Konami licensed the Silent Hill series to other developers. But in between that, Konami released a very cool and interesting game for the PSP, and that's the Silent Hill experience. This it basically is a UMD disc full of special features. It's got 2 hours of comic books. Konami and I don't remember the other company. They did a couple of Castlevania comic books and a couple of Silent Hill comic books. Some of the Silent Hill comic books were not well received, but this UMD has a bunch of them. It also includes what else does it have? 20 soundtracks from the whole series. It has an exclusive interview with the director of Silent Hill. The director of the Silent Hill movie, and the composer of the music, and rare video content from previous Silent Hills. There's also a Metal Gear one, the Metal Gear Experience, I think. No, it's the Metal Gear motion comic. I'm confusing it. So, Konami released these two, and this is by, I think, the best one, because it has, the Metal Gear motion comic only has the Metal Gear comic. It only has that one series. Whereas this one has, again, 2 hours of digital comics based on Silent Hill. It has what is considered a better comic, Silent Hill comic books, Dying Inside, and The Hunger, which I've heard that one's not that good. And like I said, it has the 20 soundtracks and videos and so on. So if you're a Silent Hill fan and you have a PSP, definitely get this, because to my knowledge, all this content has not been released in any other media, so definitely recommend you pick that up. Like I said, Konami licensed the Silent Hill to other developers, and one of the games that they released is Silent Hill Homecoming. This was not a well-received game, unfortunately. The story is about this character that is looking for his brother in Silent Hill, but he was like an ex-military guy, so unlike previous games, he could take the fight to the monsters. You know, you can beat the monsters up, and a lot of people complained that took away from the scare factor of Silent Hill, because you had to run away from the monsters in the other games, and in this one, you can actually beat them up and get through that. So, because in the other games, you could technically take the fight to them, but eventually they would overpower you. In this one, that's not the case. In this one, you are an ex-military guy and you can beat them up. So, yeah, it was not well received. The graphics are pretty cool, but this one borrows heavily from the movie. This game came out, I think, about the time the movie did, so or a little bit after the movie. And the movie introduced some elements that they take on this one, like when the character goes to Silent Hill, the whole transformation scene is very similar to the movie. So yeah. As a pre-order bonus, you could also get the Silent Hill Homecoming soundtrack. The soundtrack it has some good songs, but it's not the series' best, honestly. Like I said, a couple of songs are pretty cool. They kind of sound like Silent Hill. but they're not as good as the one from 3 or 2. But I got this as a, like I said, pre-order bonus. So yeah. The 2 games that unfortunately I am missing to complete my Silent Hill collection, like I said, not interested really that much on the HD one, but I'm missing on the PSP Silent Hill Origins. It also released on the PlayStation 2, but I want to get it on the PSP. And Silent Hill Downpour, which is the last game to actually come out. There's actually, that's not true. There's another one that came out on the Vita, Silent Hill Book of Something. But I don't own a Vita, so I'm not interested in getting that. I have a PSP, so I want to get Origins and Downpour on the PlayStation 3. Again, with the news that Konami is gone, I'm pretty sure those games are going to jack up on price. But if I'm able to find them cheap, or at least at a reasonable price, I do want to add those Silent Hill games to the collection. The last thing to talk about is, of course, the movie, Silent Hill. Honestly, I think this is one of the best video game adaptations out there. It also has a very, very effective mood. And like I said, like I was talking about Homecoming, when they travel to Silent Hill, there's this siren that goes off. And then everything in Silent Hill, because Silent Hill during the good period is covered in ash. Like the snowy ash is always falling on everyone. Done to simulate the effect of the fog in the first one. And then when this siren goes off, everything kind of like peels off, and everything looks grimy and rusty and nasty. It looks, visually, it looks pretty cool. And it's kind of similar to the story in the first game, Silent Hill and Silent Hill Shattered Memories. But in this time, instead of being the dad, it's the mom that travels to Silent Hill, has a car accident, and is looking for her daughter. And that's when all this stuff happens. The only complaint I've heard from people and Silent Hill fans is that the nurses honestly would have no reason to be there, because there's actually a room full of. Let me get the plastic out. There's actually a room full of nurses, and if it's the mother that's going there, there's no reason why the nurses would be there, because the nurses were a repressed sexuality from the guy in the second Silent Hill. And also Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head makes an appearance here, and again, without the context of the second game, there's no reason for Pyramid Head to be there. He looks amazing. I'm not saying I'm not glad to see Pyramid Head on the movie. He looks great, but again, I can understand why some people would be upset, because in the context of the universe, Pyramid Head would not have to be here. But it's a very, very effective movie. Again, it's one of the best video game adaptations I've seen in a while. I still actually need to collect the second one, Silent Hill 2 Revelations, I think. Book of Revelations, something like that. I want to get it because I collect stuff like this, but that one follows the story of Silent Hill 3. So I like Silent Hill 3, so I want to see how they adapt that. But yeah, I've heard that one's not that good. But I still want to see it. I still want to buy it and own it and see it, because I want to get a complete Silent Hill collection, and that includes the 2 movies. But yeah, great series again. It's still, honestly, it's still a damn shame that Konami took a dump on fans and everyone. I can understand. In a way, it's the company's fault, because they lost their way. They forgot that it's about innovation. It's about taking risks and giving fans what they want, but at the same time evolving the series. And it's also I hate to say it, but it's also the fans' fault. Games just don't sell. Everyone goes after the big names and everything, and they buy their games used, unfortunately, because of the economy and how expensive games are. I've also bought some used games or games off friends. So new games don't make the money that the companies need to stay afloat. So it's a shame, but unfortunately in today's modern world, it's also something that happens. I'm not defending it, of course. Companies like Capcom said that unless one of their video games is going to make them 2 million profit, it's not worth their time. And come on, they've canceled so many awesome games that people want, but they just crap on. But yeah, hopefully, uh, somehow Silent Hill can be saved. I'm not interested in buying anything mobile with uh, microtransactions and in-app purchases. Uh, but maybe the original team of Team Silent could get together, do a Kickstarter, and do something similar, because that's basically the only way that old franchises are coming back. Uh, Iga who was a director in the Castlevania games, did a Kickstarter for Bloodstained. I think it's Bloodstained, which is a spiritual successor to Castlevania, and he got his money like that. He said if they reach the 3 million mark, they're going to release it on the Wii U. They hit the 3 million mark, so that thing's coming out on the Wii U, and I'm super excited. I want to get that. But I hope the same thing happens with Silent Hill, because it really was a great series. My personal horror series is Fatal Frame. After that, it's a tie between Silent Hill and Resident Evil. Honestly, they both have their own awesomeness. So I'm a big fan of Silent Hill, but it's a shame. It's a shame. Like I mentioned in the audio cast, the only company that's still hanging in there is Nintendo. Everyone criticizes the hell out of Nintendo, but it's the only company that's still consistently coming out with good games. And in a perfect world, maybe Nintendo will plump out the cash and buy all the IPs from companies like Capcom and Konami and rescue Mega Man like they did in Smash Brothers, and somehow rescue Silent Hill and make a successful horror series, because Nintendo doesn't have any successful horror series. But yeah, that would be something that, a fool's dream, I guess. But like always, just wanted to share my Silent Hill collection. I'm missing 2 for it to be a perfect collection, but I'm working on that. If you enjoy the Silent Hill series or don't agree with what I said, leave a comment. But like always, thanks so much for watching, and until I see you all again, this is Vargas XX78, thanking you and signing out.